Hey, you doing good, man? Just be a few seconds.
Okay.
All right. Let me unmute these guys. All right. We are live. What's going on, everybody?
Well, I'm ready.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I could hear you guys. This is great. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of peace out and let you guys kind of talk about what's about to happen.
Sure. So
Okay.
I'm Sarah Barron. Here with me today is Mancat, Salty Mancat. We're going to be commentating for you on a Legend of Mana race, the Dragon Percent between hiimlemur and Ellervated, the host of the marathon, popular guy. What are your thoughts about Dragon Percent, Mancat?
Well, it's random. There's a lot of RNG that's involved with it. You're looking for two specific weapon drops that you need to get throughout the run, and some of the bosses have a lot of RNG that's built in with them.
They definitely do. There are quite a bit of little optimizations you can make with your movement through the realm to go fast. And of course, beating bosses quicker is always better.
Agreed. And then there's going on the beating bosses part. There's something that I'm assuming we'll get into when it starts becoming relevant, and that would be power canceling.
Yeah, there's some interesting tech to improve your fighting. As with all games, you do want to skip what you can. You can't skip the combat in this game. Movement is going to be through different screens, and the enemies are just lying in wait there. And there's no way around them but through them. So you can see here we're getting prepared to go. Elevated on the map screen. hiimlemur choosing to be male or female. But they're both going to go with that two-handed sword.
I don't think there's actually any difference to being male or female. I don't think there's any speed difference. Like, one's not. I don't think the male doesn't have more strength, and I don't think the female has more movement speed, which is typically what you see.
No, there's no difference between the characters. They do look like. All right, looks like we're on the map screen, ready to get started. Shall we count them down?
Yeah, that'll be good.
Go for it.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
So we're getting started here.
The game itself has a the game itself has a map placement system as opposed to a typical world map that you would see in most PlayStation RPGs, where they have you get artifacts that you place in the map, and you essentially build your world map. And there's like smaller, there's more like minute things that actually play a factor in the run itself, like the element system. And I don't know, are you well versed in the element system?
So the element system is definitely a point to make, but it's a little too complicated for that. Just know that you do have a nice little blank slate on the world map. You just got to see it for a moment there, where they place down home, which they're waking up from here. And as they progress through the game, we're going to get different items known as artifacts. Those are the places of interest on the world map. We're going to get one right here from the Sproutling. It's going to give us color blocks, which will turn into the town of Domina.
And to make sure to always say I knew that, so you skip the tutorial text boxes. Yeah, if you look on the world map, but we're not really going to delve into it because I'm not well versed in it, and it's super complicated as is. Whenever they're hovering over an area, you see a line of 8 little spirits. That is the element system we are saying, and there's really only one reason that it matters in this run, and it just dictates a placement of a certain object.
Yeah. Know that the map has been optimized quite a few times over the runs,
Mm-hmm.
and that everything has to be placed specifically for the story to work. A misplacement is very problematic for the run and requires a lot of skill and knowledge to overcome something of that nature. So here we're meeting Alazel for the first time. He's shaking down a fairy, looking for a friend. We're going to offer to help.
During this whole section, you'll see that they're kind of like zigzagging, and the zigzagging movement just covers more distance in it, so it allows you to go faster than, say, running in a straight line. And I can figure out. But you'll see that all over all throughout the game. You'll see them doing that outside of battles when they're running through the screens, and I think they actually do it during battle. You'll see them zigzag because it covers more distance.
Yep, right here inside the first dungeon, the Kiev Caverns. We're going to be trying to utilize that tech just to get through the screens a little bit faster.
First battle is coming up. And
first battle already with some dreaded bats.
Bats are the birds of this game. Even though there are birds in here, they are jerks.
Yeah, most of the birds in this game don't actually fly.
Yeah, I think you fight a Garuda at the end game, but even then, that's still not terrible. And if you're watching the stream, like, I mean, you have the sound on, you'll hear. Obviously, they would have did. Never mind on that one. You'll hear like a beeping sound, and that is them inputting a power cancel.
Exactly. Whenever they go to do a power swing, normally you would be stuck in the downward sword animation for quite a bit of time. But by pushing one of your skill buttons, you can cancel that. And normally you would use the skill, but if you are unable to, or there is no skill on that particular button, you'll get that error noise instead.
But you still get the cancellation effect of using the super tech itself.
Absolutely. here's our first boss. His name is Booty. We're gonna see if we can take him down before he gets to use what are his special skills. We want to try to keep him to 1 or 2. That would be optimal, because it can be tough.
And you're noticing that both the runners are doing their super tech when he does his, because you get moments of invincibility when you do a super tech, so you can dodge his super tech and then just automatically land yours after he recovers.
That was a nice help from Nozzle on Elevated side.
Oh yeah, the Rising Strike. And they're pretty much neck and neck on their...
That is a very close finish.
Yeah.
So after each boss fight, you do of course get your XP for winning. Sometimes it comes from a chest and sometimes it comes from the boss itself. So now we're reuniting the two, and they've got a lot to say to each other. And of course, Lazel's a little suspicious of us, so we got to dissuade him. Make sure to choose the right prompts so that we get less talking and more playing.
If you play this game casually, there is a cactus you have in your room that you would go talk to and he would record down. Actually, I'll explain that in a second. We're going into the other part of re-entering Mecha Caverns, which is the first RNG weapon grind.
So we're heading back in here. Our current weapon, the two-handed sword, is not that strong. We want to get something better, and these goblins
First drop.
we're going to be fighting have basically a 25% chance to drop us a better weapon. They have 2 different weapons. One's called the Black Elk, and the other is called the Earth Splitter. And they're both so much stronger than our current sword.
I called first drop on Lemur, I guess. Just
And
not on Ellervated.
Lemur gets a first drop.
He gets one of each. He can choose. The Blackout Elk is better just because its animations are faster, so it is higher DPS. Whereas the Earth Splitter is just a stronger weapon. It's a one-handed axe versus a two-handed axe. But with power canceling, you just get more power cancels in, and there is a weapon drop for
Alright.
Elevated, so
We get to see both sides. One for Earth Splitter and one for Black Elk. Very nice.
You see them going into their skill menu and changing their skills. And you have your super text, but then there's also a list. I can't remember the total number. You only see 2 skills learned, but there are skills that you get that X is normally your normal attack and square is your strong attack. So you have triangle and circle, and those give you little skills like jump, defending. You saw spin earlier in the first run through of Mecha Caverns, where you could it can knock people out, but if you do it too much, you end up knocking yourself out. And the way you learn super text and the way you learn other skills is by equipping certain skills and using them in battle for so many odd times. So you'll see them putting on jump and defend, because I don't know why jump. I know defend. If you have to defend on, you learn counterattack, and then from counterattacking you learn counter strike, which will be used in some fights.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a list, and everything is interconnected, which makes the game really interesting. Playing through it casually for sure. But yes, we will be learning counter attack and counter strike as the run goes on. They're more powerful forms of attack. but they do require the enemy to swing at us first. So they have a little bit of risk, but they are very strong indeed. And here we've gone to pick up our next friend, Niccolo. We need him to go and do the highway. It's going to unlock more storyline for us.
And then on Lemur's side of things, you'll see him. He's doing the Monster Corral section, and that is used to get a pet later on, which when we get them, it makes it works out. But that that is the reason we need to have the reason I brought up the element system, because the only way to get them is to have a max shade on in a certain location.
That's a beautiful egg capture.
Yeah, it was.
From Lemur. This egg is very tricky to get quickly.
I know I've never gotten it quickly in the handful of runs I've done with Dragon Percent. It's always there's a manipulation to it. You place an item somewhere and then you run, and then the egg will run away from you if it sees you. So the whole point is you're supposed to sneak up on it and get it to go where you need to go. But
yeah, you're basically surprising it. Oh no. And it'll run away, but it's going to look directly back for you. And unfortunately, if you're not quick enough to get around, what happened to Ellervated will happen. But he recovered pretty well.
That was a good recovery, because I've seen that egg just get out of hand. So now we're placing more artifacts on Lemur's side of things, and I think we're now going to do Dud Bears?
Yes, Lumina is the town of the Dud Bears. Very, very much dub is about to happen. It'll be quick. You have to be able to read the text boxes to catch it.
I remember playing this casually as a kid and just having no problem with this, because I would be guessing pretty much, just doing process of elimination.
Oh, the language barrier here is actually big. As a kid, I could not do it well. And yeah, guessing is what it boiled down to.
But this quest involves a siren. I think she's a siren, and everyone's favorite centaur, love-struck bard, Gilbert.
That's a mouthful.
I think... was there I want to say I remember someone saying there's a reference to Gilbert being a bard and something with another bard in another game.
And he's got the loot, and he's very song driven in my opinion. Alright. So you can see hiimlemur going through the text here. It's a lot of dub dud da 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 da. This little quest chapter, whatever you want to call it in the game, is really quick. So this is a quick pit stop to do this, and then once we're done with that, then we'll be back on to the action. Yeah, this town is more about selling lamps rather than fighting. It's a town of peace.
Since we have text boxes going on right now, I did say earlier, and I cut myself off actually. When you play casually, there's a cactus that you talk to, and he'll record down the quests that you do, their chapter, and it's more of him living living his dreams outside through you and just recording down your stories. But you won't see him in any of the speedruns because it's not worth it to go back to the home every time.
Going home is it's definitely a place that we won't return to for quite a while. There's nothing important that we can do there that would save us any amount of time. There are things you do unlock at your home. You get a farm. You saw the baby egg that we caught would turn into a little monster, sort of ally that we can bring along with us. There's also some workshops that can potentially be built there after meeting certain NPCs in the game. But those would all take quite a bit of time to set up and go through. It is something you see in all stories or all events, but not in the three lesser categories, which is Dragon, Jumi, and Fairy.
I think there's one also for all story, like all event, like all main storylines.
Yeah, there's one for all events.
No,
which
I mean
is
like
much more complicated.
yeah, and I think there's one where you actually do all three of the main storylines. I think that's a category. Or is that the all events one? And I'm
It's all events.
That is all events. Okay, I'm just crazy.
All right, Lemur has put down Graveyard, headed into Luan Highway here. A little bit more action this time. We have Niccolo helping us out, or walking around. You know, sometimes they walk around instead of help. You never can tell what they're gonna do.
It's a small little tidbit while we have people setting up artifacts and just doing basic battles. To beat the game, you need to do one of the three main event storylines, which is my misunderstanding on that one, which is the Dragon, Fairy, or Jumi. This one's the Dragon. This is Dragon percent, so we are obviously doing the Dragon storyline. And then you need to hit a threshold. I think it's of like 25, 26 quests altogether, right?
There's a certain number of quests to do, and there's also, you have to have enough artifacts on the map
Oh yeah.
to actually unlock the final storyline.
Yeah, and that's what like your typical runs would be. Do one of the storylines, and the route is based around getting those, getting that event as quick as possible, while also making sure your map is set up correctly and everything.
Yeah, and like I said before, the map placement is crucial. Certain zones will drop different rewards based on when they're done. So it is a bit of trial and error to improve. We got our first view at the archer. I'm trying to remember his name. Chobin Hood.
Chobin Hood. And then Lemur is fighting Mantis Ant at the moment. Not Mantis Hat.
Probably one of the easiest bosses in the game, as he really doesn't get to do anything if you lock him down with good canceling.
Unfortunately, all the bosses in this run cannot be that easy.
Yeah, but you did notice he pushed the boss into the corner. He's using a different type of tactic called jump canceling, and instead of getting the beeping noise to cancel your attack and re-perform it in the same location, a jump cancel will instead chain your power attack into a jumping attack. It's a little fun trick that allows you to push enemies around the screen while dealing pretty solid damage.
I want to say it was faster on the DPS. I can't remember. So I think you're getting 2 attacks in as opposed to.
Yeah, and you can see Ellervated is doing the power cancels. Still just absolutely destroys Mantis Ant.
Even without the wall keeping them in place.
So now we're finally at the point where we can start working on the actual dragon storyline that you can see on Lemur's screen. We're going to be taking a pit stop into Lumina to pick up an ally. There's a particular point later on in the run where we do have to have 3 teammates to continue the story. So we're going to pick up a friend for the duration of the rest of the run.
Good old Guri. And he is the reason I brought up the elements earlier, because he is a demi-human pet, and the demi-human pets only appear if in certain areas, if the certain elements are maxed out.
Yeah, if you just go there, he may or may not be there. It does have a prerequisite. But he's a pretty useful guy. All of the helpers that you'll have throughout the game, whether it be NPCs or pets that you have, they all have a special ability or a synchronization effect. Guri's is one of the most useful.
And I know Lark, my good friend Lark that we just picked up, he has his synchro bonus is an additional damage percentage against dragon-based enemies, which is helpful because you fight dragon bosses.
Yeah, he makes the bosses go quicker. Guri's synchro, I believe, is 50% more slashing damage.
No, yeah.
So, when you're in combat, if you look at the top of the screen, you'll see the 3 portraits. You can tell when you're in synchro if you have a little sort of electric line between your crystal and your ally's crystal.
That has something to do with distance from the ally, right?
It is definitely something you have to be very close to take advantage of. And since they sometimes help and sometimes walk around, it can be interesting to work out.
But when it does work out, it makes things a whole lot quicker.
Oh, it's beautiful when it works out. You may not notice it during this run, but we will make mention of it when it does occur.
You'll see bosses. Some of the dragon bosses, if there's a synchro effect, like if you look on Lemur's screen a bit ago, you'll see these little lightning bolts going in between. That is the thing Cerbron was talking about, how to dictate if you have it or not. But when you have the synchro bonus on all 3 of them on a boss, I think it's happened once on stream I've seen, the boss just melts. Because you have this 25 additional damage to dragons, and then you also have the 50% additional slashing. Lemur is coming up to the first semi-RNG heavy boss, Hitodama, and he can be nice or he can just be a pain. Like, what just happened, he spawned in and went straight into a super tech.
Yeah.
And he can do them as he pleases.
Let's see how it goes. It's 2.
Three is a little slow, but 2 is about average.
I would say 3 is about average. This guy is very
very trolling. All right, so we're getting average play here.
yeah.
Yeah, that was a good fight though, all around. Like that fight can devour your time.
It can spiral a little bit out of control. Hidodama does have an interesting problem. If he does get up to his 5th special attack, he will instantly use a different one from normal. He won't use the little headpieces around the room, but instead drop something on top of you. But generally, that also means he will instantly go and do a 6th special attack. So you really definitely want to keep him below 5.
We got 2 so far in elevated. Lemur, on the other hand, is talking to Draconis and is going on the adventure of the Dragon Percent storyline.
Yep, he just got the quest to go conquer the other dragons in the world and deliver their powers to Draconis.
Oh, we're on 4 for elevated right now. This is some unfortunate luck, but this is what we were talking about, where he can just devour time.
Oh, and there's the 5th ST. He did not immediately go into the 6th one, though, so there was a glimmer of hope. And then on Lemur's side, we've got the Norn Peaks now in place. We're going to go head towards our first dragon to conquer. His name is Aggravator.
Aggravator, more like. But elevator I just finished off Hidodama, and that gives you a nice viewpoint of how much he can just waste your time and devour it.
Yep. On Lemur's side, we just got a glimpse of Sierra, Lark's sister. They're kind of on opposing sides of this conflict. Yeah, Legend of Mana does not have the nicest veggie. I don't remember what it's called at the moment, but that's
Shriek Nip.
That's Shriek Nip, you know.
Yeah, it was a Shriek Nip. They're flipping terrible. They can poison you, they can knock you out, and then they can give you I call it green poison. I think it's just paralysis.
It is paralysis.
And you just can't move. And they can be massive time loss.
But they're fun to listen to.
Oh. Sorry. Yeah, they...
Here we have 3 of them. They're very nice. No screams at all. And Lemur cleaned them up very well.
Can't remember what my most unliked or hated enemy is in this game.
It's definitely the bats for me. You play the beginning of the game quite a lot, and You get to visit those planets way more than you want to.
So Lemur's coming up. Or he's actually now entering him. Might be done with already. One of Aggravator's Dragoons, which is what Lark is and what Sierra is, which we'll find out later. In this dungeon you have to beat 4 of them, or is it 3? It's 3. I'm slow today. Yeah, you have to beat 3 of them in this dungeon to unlock the last part of the dungeon. And so you'll see a lot of it. There's a good chunk of backtracking, a back and forth aspect. So, but they're essentially just 3 mini bosses before a bigger boss.
Yeah, they guard the top by having a statue that's linked to them, and if you touch that statue, you'll get to see it in a few minutes. It'll send you all the way back down the mountain
to where Ellervated is in the village. I think it's there. Does it put you actually in the forest?
I have not touched that statue in a while.
You saw Lemur move before he talked to that dragoon, the mini boss. He moved behind him, and that was because I think the wall is actually closer. The wall would be in front of Lemur is closer, so you can push him into the wall and then keep him locked in that place because they can move around and they can be pains.
Right. And another good reason to push him towards the right wall is, of course, that's where the exit of the room is. So when combat ends, you get to start moving again, and being closer to the exit is advantageous.
It's all about minimizing that movement. Maximizing it, actually.
One thing we haven't actually peeked upon is the difference between how Earthsplitter makes you move a lot slower than Black Elk in combat. When he's got that weapon out, he sort of moves around the screen a little bit less fluidly than Lemur does.
Which is a nice touch. I mean, unfortunate, but it's also just a nice touch that he's using a 2-handed axe versus a 1-handed axe. And with that, you'll obviously move slower.
Here we're getting our first peek at Counter-Strike from Lemur.
These Wendigos are really good for using Counter-Strike on because it almost just one-shots them, and they're highly aggressive.
Yeah, it one-shots them with Earthsplitter, and it nearly one-shots them with Black Elk. I think with a level or 2 extra, from this point in the game, you do one-shot them with Black Elk as well. Oh, Lark with the helpful special attack, nice.
Which is rare because he never does anything useful. You will notice if you ever look on the speedrunning leaderboards that there's like a legit amount of Japanese and English, like we have it separated. And that is because there are a lot of balancing updates or balancing changes that happened. The Wendigo drop a glove in the English version that is solely different from the Japanese version. Like the glove is just significantly stronger. I think I think in the English version it's a 25, like mid to high 20s glove weapon, but in the Japanese version it's a high 40s to low 50s strength glove weapon. So the routing is just going to be completely different.
And for your first time playing the game, using the glove is a fun experience. There's definitely a different aspect to swinging a weapon at them versus punching.
And that's you won't see it in this run. You don't normally see it actually that much in most of the runs. But there's a long list of weapons that you can use in. Oh, if you have headphones on, this might be too late. Beware loud sound noises. The delay probably didn't help. But anyways, there's a long list of weapons you can use. Like, you have daggers, both one-handed axes and swords, along with the two-handed variants. Your gloves. There's spears, bows. That actually might be it.
You got hammers as well.
Oh yeah, the hammer. And they all have their long list of like special attacks, and you see these. The dragoons that they're fighting, they do like these little like blue and green markers appear beneath them, and that is the magic system in this game. But for the player character, it's using instruments. So I just always account them being instruments.
Magic in this game is very cool, but extremely hard to make it strong. Long list of things you'd have to do to have a spell do as much damage as well. Hiimlemur is on to the Aggravator fight. Aggravator can do quite a few troubling things. One of them is flying, and another one is using his special attacks. But it looks like this fight's going well.
If you've noticed, the synchro effect is happening between Lark and the player character.
Oh boy.
So,
It's a fly game.
now we're getting the... Here comes the super attack.
So
This is... As terrible as it seems, this fight seems like it's not really going overly great. It's still going significantly well. To have just, what was that, 2 or 3 flies and 1 super attack?
yeah, one.
That was
two,
Go ahead.
Yeah, the couple flies and one special attack is definitely on the better end.
Well, it doesn't seem like it was a time loss. It's like Hirudama, like 3 on average. Super Tex is still really good.
And then we get to see the mana crystal that Aggravator was guarding. And that's the power we will be delivering to Draconis later on. So, a little bit of a gap has formed between the two runners here. Lemur's got about a minute, maybe a minute and a half ahead.
Yeah, and that it all came down to that Hirudama, and I think the gap's getting a little bigger just based on Blackout versus Earthsplitter.
We do have to consider that Ellervated did not get first try, so
Yeah, that too.
it's quite a significant amount of time to redo that combat.
No, we have to make a pit stop on Lemur's section to do this quest called the Field Trip, which is talk to NPCs and talk to more NPCs, but that will allow us to do the next Dragon Quest.
Yeah, we're taking a pit stop to make a potion.
Let's see if he gets good luck as well.
Let's take a look at
One
this
super
Aggravator fight while that's going on. He gets a flyby.
And one fly, 1 super tech so far. That's not too drastic. This is this is where it gets bad when he can just
he's
chain
having
his flies.
fun, that's for sure. 3 flies back to back. And an ST immediately after. That's big pain right there.
It's a big oof.
Alright, so we've made our potion on Lemur's side, and now we're going to head into the Bone Castle. But what is a castle without a guard?
This is another lemur on Lemur's side. This is another boss that you can use Counter-Strike for. That makes it a little easier. Unfortunately, Ellervated is getting very typical luck with Archavator.
Black Knight has some really cool moves. It just looks really awesome in general. But you can't counterattack his punchy fist. All his other attacks it'll work on, but not the punch.
Alright, Elevated just beat Archavator, and that, once again, unfortunately, is seeing both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, sometimes you get it good, sometimes you get it bad. And this is the point I mentioned earlier. This castle does require you to have three on your team, so that you set off the trap and can actually enter.
I'm calling first try.
You think it's first try sword? Let's see.
I called it beforehand.
Oh, there it's.
Troll.
12.5% chance of not go.
This is, those little sword enemies are the second farming aspect, if you want to put that in quotation marks, where we just have to get a specific weapon drop from them, which could mean that Elevated could catch up in time.
Yep.
Because we have to run around and grab our NPCs, but we're just going to find that.
Yeah. Our current weapon, Black Elk, is a decent weapon, but it pales in comparison to what we're looking for, which is the Brave Blade. It's a 12.5% chance to drop. You also have that same chance for a Throat Slitter to drop, which we don't need. It's a very weak weapon. So we could be here for quite a few attempts. I think the record is somewhere around 15 or 16 fights to get this weapon. And that's the bad record, of course. The good record is always first try. Get another one.
I've had, I think, 6 Throat Slitter drops as my...
Oh, 2 Throat Slips.
I've had, I think, a max of 6 Throat Slitter drops before I just reset, and I'm like, no, we're just gonna try this again.
But he is getting an item drop every time, so that's... It's closer to the right side, so he decided to reset the room on that end. And another item drop. And another Throat Slitter.
We're at 5.
This is becoming incredible. And Ellervated's getting started on his potion.
No, he already did his
He already
potion.
finished his potion.
Yeah,
he's
he's on
distracted.
by this exhilarating, exhilarating throat slitter farm.
Oh my goodness. He'll have all the money he needs when it's said and done.
The worst thing is these sword enemies are somewhat annoying because their hitboxes are small and they have the chance of just chain locking you like that, where they just slash you and you just get stuck in place. There we go.
It was a long time coming, but he got the Brave Blade, finally ready to move on, get some new specials equipped that are specific to the weapon, and continue into the castle here. And you will notice now that he's wielding a two-handed weapon, it'll be a bit slower to move around in combat.
That was a good Black Knight.
And that was a solid Black Knight. On the other side, we're fighting Sierra for the first time.
If you notice, the Counter-Strike window is the hitbox stays out there for a significant amount of time because Sierra hit Lemur, he did the Counter-Strike, and then she jumped into the sword and she still got hit. Like, it's got into. I'm calling first try.
You're calling first try again.
Dude, I'm sticking with it. I did it with Blackout, and I'm sticking with it this time.
I did get one of the swords with his special.
I'm just jinxing everyone.
Well, you have to pass through the chamber twice because you do have to pick up Guru. So even second try is still first try. Lemur just went and found Lark. So he's got the key, he's got his team, he's ready to go face off against Jajara.
But he has to fight Jajara's Dragoon, which was not the Black Knight.
Nor was it Sierra.
Oh, that'd be a twist and a half if it was Sierra.
Here we have Deathbringer. The first of our quick little boss gauntlet we're about to go through here. He's a pretty straightforward boss. Doesn't do too much. And we just don't want to let him disappear, so we're going to try and take him out really quick. Oh, the triple synchro. Oh, just like that.
And that would be that synchro bonus.
Yeah,
Brave Blade. There we go.
Brave Blade for Ellervated. I believe that was third try.
Yeah. He didn't get 6 throat slitters though, if that's any consolation prize. Fun fact, if you have, this is while we're waiting for the cutscene to play, if you have a Nintendo Switch, and it might actually be on other things too, I know it's on the Switch for sure, there's a game that was released last month, well actually a while ago, but physical copy last month, called Collection of Mana, that has Trials of Mana, which is the third Mana game, and that actually has a lot of similarities to this storyline wise. But
I was using a Counter-Strike strategy on Jajara. Interesting.
it worked for a bit. Like, you see that Counter-Strike does a lot of damage. Because you don't necessarily see it with Sierra, which is on the elevator side. Yeah. You don't see it a lot with Sierra, but she has a lot of HP, and you're taking down a bar and a half to 2.5 bars of damage just with one Counter-Strike.
Yeah. The HP in this game is broken up into chunks. The first one being red to warn you that you're almost out of HP, and then orange, and then I believe it goes green, yellow after that.
It's red, orange, yellow, green, blue, green, blue, green, blue, green, blue. Because if you look at large HP, he's got orange and yellow, but there is blue involved as well.
So we're playing on the normal difficulty right now, so things don't have a lot of life, but there are 2 higher difficulties in Legend of Mana. If you don't have a strong weapon, you can watch that life bar just count over and over.
Now we're on the second Jajara fight on Lemur, and it's more manageable than than the first one. Because he doesn't really... One super tech is about average, but even then it's not really that hard of a fight.
Yeah, you can defeat his second form without him using that special attack. Got Deathbringer coming up on elevated side. So as one person exits the gauntlet, the other player enters. I would still say the gap's probably about a minute and a half still.
Mm-hmm.
So even with the Brave Blade being quite his skills are definitely keeping his time tight.
His stream stuttered a little bit, but if I was seeing it correctly, it looked like he was doing spinning motions before moving into this cutscene, and that's more of a small little movement tech to make sure that Guri, because he has to walk and he walks at an insanely slow speed, is able to get to the cutscene position quicker. Because you just run around in circles and then he'll catch up, and then you can lower the amount of time you have to wait for him to walk to his position.
On Lemur's side, we're entering the forest. This is a place you can get lost in, but luckily Lark has the nose and can tell you the right way to go. And he will actually give you a dialogue at the exit of every screen letting you know. Got Jar reforming over on Ellervated's side. Meanwhile, Lemur's heading through the forest. Pretty good pace, especially when you know the way without Lark having to tell you. You get to fight a tree enemy here who's pretty unique. He throws rocks at you.
And that was a good Jujara 2 fight for Ellervated. Only one super tech, and it's pretty average, a pretty good fight. As with what you can notice with a lot of the bosses in this game, it can be going good, but it can go downhill so quick, so fast.
Yeah, one of the worst things about the special techniques is that when a boss uses it, they become unable to be hit. The same can be said for you, but it's just an easier day overall if they're not able to reach that point.
I hear we're gonna see Sierra and her dragon that she's reviewing for. I think it's Vadis.
Vadis is correct.
I remember things. And if you're able to catch some of the text boxes that are popping up, you'll get some backstory as to why they're doing what they're doing.
So Vadis is definitely a unique dragon, having the ability to go invisible. Fortunately, she's not going to use it to any valuable effect in this combat. But Lark is happy. He's got his mana from the 3 dragons, so he's gonna book it back to his master.
With Vadis in this fight, if you do any knockback on it, she will teleport back into her original position. And it can be a problem with Guri because if he chucks his axe, it moves the enemy that it hits.
That was a good combat. Sierra was quite understanding and attacked the Counter-Strike box. Elevated went for a bit of a time save there and didn't use an ST on those two rabbits and the silkworm.
Let's see if it pays off. Is he going to use them on the double snakes?
While Lemur's heading back to the underworld.
For the final Dragon Quest.
Yeah, a little bit of role reversal here. We're gonna have Sierra join our team and work to hunt down Draconis instead. Yeah, here's a noise warning when the knights attack Sierra. The noise when she takes them out is kind of loud, so headphone users. Yes, Sierra does not have as useful as a synchro as Lark does. But it can save you from dying. Elevated's going through his Sierra and Vadis fight, trying to counterattack Sierra, but hits Vadis. Meanwhile, Luma is going back through the sort of similar areas we saw on the first trip down the underworld. And that'll be Elevated's third dragon takedown. So he'll soon be following Lemur's steps to the underworld.
And this underworld adventure is pretty much the same steps you took when you first went through it. You just go through the store and then you go through a few. I think you have to talk to one of the shadows. Yeah.
Yeah, the shadows get in your way, and pretty much guarantee you're going to end up down in this final room. But we want to be here because this continues the story. The underworld is actually a place where a lot of the characters will end up in some of the other zones because they do die in some cases, and they have rooms. So you can actually come down and speak with them in the later parts of the game. Mark looks to bargain his way to the surface with combat. Draconis is not so keen on that, so he's just going to what I assume is brainwashing. I don't know what all the red bubbles are, but he makes us fight more. Except he gives Lark quite a makeover first. Our first quite sad moment where we took out our buddy Lark. We had lots of good times with him, but today we were on the opposite team. But with all the power of mana that we delivered to Draconis, he's going to use that to make the underworld look a little cooler, a little more to his liking. So now we have a floating castle. Do you have any strong memories of this castle, Mancat?
I remember getting stuck in this castle casually for 3 hours. Because it's confusing, but after doing the speedrun for this, it's really simple. There's 3 mini bosses you have to. No, there's 3 mini bosses you have to fight, or more so 3 rooms that have boss themes in them. Whereas 2 of them are normal enemies, and 1 of them is a variation of the Megalark.
I like Megalark.
The Megalark boss fight. It's got really cool music. I really like the music in this dungeon. It's up there as one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's pretty easy not to find the right direction. In the castle here, there's plenty of dead ends. There's lots of enemies, lots of combat that you can potentially go through before you even start to happen upon the correct way. And sort of the hub area that Lemur is going to be reaching very soon. You may not think that you can go as far left as you do, but that'll be the first direction he takes to go and fight the first mini-boss.
That was a fantastic Lark fight.
0 ST?
On 0 ST on elevator side.
Oh, very nice.
Elevated.
Yeah, there's a very small chance that when you push a boss to the very edge of the screen, he can go a little too far, and the XP will drop outside of your reach. The screen will just stop you from going and collecting it. So there's always a little bit of risk with that. But it's definitely worth it if you can stop them from using your special. We're heading into the room with our first mini boss, the Sky Dragon. And you can see the life bar on this guy is pretty intense. He's got a lot of HP.
Yeah, the fun fact, the two enemies you fight, the dragon, the Sky Dragon that he just fought, and then there's another dragon you'll fight called a land dragon. They're both pets you can get, and they have, I think, some of the highest HP totals. They're just really good pets they have.
Yeah, getting a dragon pet is definitely a strong pet to have. Who wouldn't want a dragon for a pet? So first mini boss down, we're gonna change our direction and head into another trap door that's going to send us to the basement. That is where the land or ground dragon is located. Meanwhile, Ellervated is getting a pep talk from the Dees and joining Sierra, about to head into the castle. So this land dragon is all about pushing him to the right side of the screen as much as possible, because there's going to be a cutscene right after you defeat him, and we really want Guri to be as far right as possible. We will do a very slow walk to his door. I have to say that was pretty excellent.
That was a really good fight.
Oh, and of course we get the dodge. There's a very small chance that one of the swords just hops around your special attack in that room, and it did happen this time. So, each time you defeat one of the mini-bosses in Draconis' castle, it turns off the traps that are in some of the floors. And these traps, of course, stop you from crossing the room, and they'll drop you down. And once we have all three dropped, we're able to ascend to the top of the castle.
We use the traps to our advantage to get to certain locations, which is really nice.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with a hidden staircase.
Exactly.
So Lemur's actually back in the at the top of the first staircase. But instead of going left here, we can just go straight down. And that'll take us to the third mini-boss. And I believe that floor falls if you do not clear out one of the other traps first.
This lemur is on the Lark variation fight.
We call him Megalon. Very robotic. He's got arms to punch. If he STs, you might see. Let's see if he does it here. His leg move. He does the leg move. He's got machine gun legs. There goes the last crystal exploding with his defeat. Now we'll head up 4 or 5 sets of stairs. Conveniently located. So Lemur's heading to the top while Ellervated is down at the bottom. There's the screen scroll that we want. Oh, he's killing him outside the corner, though. It's going to cost a little bit of time. And you can see it here. It's slow.
Guri's so good, but he's so aggravating sometimes.
You have to babysit him, correct? Lemur's about to start his Draconis fight. Draconis is such an amazing dragon that he gets his own with battle. Don't know where this is in his castle, but it exists. And Draconis is a very strange boss. He has 2 hitboxes, despite his huge body, so you do have to aim well to hit him. But, oh, that was great.
That was a fantastic fight. That fight can go south really quickly.
No fire, no flying, just good old dragon takeouts.
And then we get a cool little like mini credit scene, essentially. We're just gonna have a conclusion to this storyline.
Yeah, without the power of mana that Draconis supplied, the underworld goes back into its original state. And that does complete the dragon storyline. As Mancat said, we're going to get quite a bit of cutscene time here. It's fairly long, I think 3 minutes, approximately.
Something like that.
So we will get a good chance to watch how Ellervated's Draconis fight ends up being. It's going to give Megalark the lunging arc. Oh! Did it hit? No, it looks like it missed.
Unfortunate. It was a good, maybe a little early, or just positioning was off. Overall, it's still a good fight.
Yeah, lunging arc is one of the more unique special attacks where it can hit the enemy not once but twice. So it's quite a bit stronger, but timing is crucial. And he almost hit him with the second attack. It's very close. Over on Lemur's side, Lark's gonna have to stay in the underworld for was it 100 years or 1,000 years or 500?
It was an exuberant amount of years.
It's a lot of years.
That confuses me when you get to the end of the credits.
Oh, it's so great. It just proves the fact that we knew all along. Coming over here, reviving the dragons somehow by returning their mana to them. I guess.
Yeah, now we're going on to the Dracanus fight for ellervated.
Yep. And so you'll see the end of the cutscene for Lemur. We're still there, and it's been a long time, and Lark shows up. So we might be immortal. Oh, and Ellervated gets an early ST from Dracanus. But he does get the second half of his lunging arc. That's quite the good damage.
One ST Dracanus is really good.
Down he goes. Over on Lemur's side, we're getting the other requirements taken care of to finish the game. Getting our artifacts placed down on the map, which is nice and populated now. We got a lot of unique locations to potentially go visit.
That we never will.
Well, it's just not fast.
It's not fast.
So we'll head over to the beach and take what I call a mini vacation. I mean, there's crabs, there's penguins. There's like a little seal enemy that he's nice.
I think it's a new. I think that's the new in the game. Or no, what is it? It's baby something. But yeah, the penguins in this game, they're all pirates. This is the quest we need to do to unlock the Cage of Dreams side quest. Our quest which will move us into the final chunk of the game. Fun fact about Summer Lovin' is this area has crabs running around, which are different from which are different colored from the crab enemies that you fight. You can step on them and they will break.
They're very fragile.
They are. There's usually one. I can't remember what screen it is. There's one that usually just freaks out in the corner. It's right next to like a set of stairs. Oh, he's not freaking out that time, but
That's some good pathing from doing their dodging. They don't lose you a lot of time, but it does force you to stop whenever you step on it. Ellervated's getting his moment of break before he gets to start working on the final sections of the game. Here's our seal friend. You didn't get to see it there, but he can pick you up and juggle.
there's the freak out one.
I've never watched that crab specifically. So Lemur just had an unfortunate event occur. He leveled up on the very last piece of XP that he picked up.
Oof.
That costs just a little bit of time. Because the game is busy updating your stats. And it doesn't continue the combat until that's finished. definitely have a nice dynamic here. They're just enough time apart that as Lemur is finishing an area, Elevated is just getting into it.
He's a full metal hagger.
No matter hag, yes sir. If done correctly, he will not get a chance to fight back.
No, he got a chance to fight back.
He's gonna take a hard hit there. But that should be all he shows us. Just the one ST, not a big deal. And it's honestly one of the faster special attacks in the game.
If you talk to that crab in the cutscene that Lemur was in, he will tell you how many crabs you have crushed. And he will give you some sort of pessimistic phrase for you.
I think he gives you an item or something if you crush them all, right?
Maybe. I never aimed to try to crush them all.
It's been a long time. But the cutscene actually ends here, and if you're just like pushing the button to pass through it, you'll just stand there at the door for a minute. So you actually have to go over and talk to the wife, the Valerie. I don't know if they're married, so to speak.
So, Lemur just got his last 2 artifacts he needs to place down, and then he will be going to home, but leaving right away, and then re-entering. Because you have to enter an area to spark the last 2 quests.
He's got to progress time. Oh, Elevated dodging those crabs just as well. So we just poke our head in real quick just to make sure our house is still there. And then we immediately say, yep, still there. All right, we're leaving.
I haven't been here in like 3 weeks. It's still alive.
Little Cactus, are you there?
There is a quest where he actually runs away.
So we head back into home, and, well, a lot of stuff has happened while we were gone. For what felt like 20 seconds. Sproutling has been chosen to be the tree. And then we go in our house, come back out, and what do you know? There's pumpkins and Domina now.
Which we will never solve.
We should probably do something about that. Oh, but what? Now there's a cage in our backyard, supposedly.
There's a
Probably.
very... Oh, go ahead.
We probably need to clean that up first.
There's a very important music or text box you need to do here coming up at some point in the future.
Yeah,
That
it's
also...
right here when he exits the door.
And it's
Definitely want to avoid that conversation. It's long and
unnecessary. I call that room my Technicolor feeding room because you're talking to a talking stained glass person riding a tapir, and a Birdman comes and talks to you. Unfortunately, on Elevated side, he almost got a super techless full metal, but just at the sliver of HP that he used one. So that was an overall fantastic fight on his end.
it can be very close sometimes. Bosses do have a specific amount of time, they will at least wait, or they do it, or a majority of them do. So you're really hoping that they wait longer than that. The little cactus quest is an adventure to get through. Coherent noise, definitely.
He does get FedEx later, I remember that.
And he gets picked up by the pelican. So Lemur headed into the dream world, or the Page of Dreams, and he's rescuing the sapling. Sapling as we speak.
And this will spark the last quest, because you get your last artifact.
Yep, you just got the Sword of Mana. This will spawn the mana tree, which is the final area. And like clockwork, Lemur just left home and ellervated's heading home. And if you remember, a long time ago, at the very beginning of the run, we did get to see this particular image of the mana tree, so we know the end is nigh. We don't get to see much of the wisdoms in this game, but Polkiel was the guy we just passed by. He's sort of a storyteller of sorts. Makes a little bit bigger impression in the fairy storyline.
There is a quest that Bud has, which is an NPC that lives in your house after a certain quest. That involves going to visit all 7 of the wisdoms. And it's a nice quest to see who all 7 wisdoms are and everything.
I always remember that quest being tough to complete. Just because you have no idea who the wisdom is in most cases. So it's a beautiful, beautiful place, the mana tree. Some purples and greens. It's got quite a few enemies in it, though. Uh-oh. Gotta get down there.
Always bring Bud, exactly.
Okay. Whew. ABB. Yeah, that little fight that Lemur just went through can be a challenge because the cockatrice enemy comes up from the bottom. You don't get a good spot to attack him at if you're too slow at taking out the bird on the higher platform.
Yeah, it's the vertical access fighting is a lot harder. because nothing really hits on a vertical axis. It's always horizontal.
And we just saw a chocobo. You can get a chocobo as a pet.
I think it's via Final Fantasy VIII data. So the section that Lemur is getting to is the last section. There are 4 fights you have to do, and I kind of visualize it as like a baseball diamond. Right now, the first fight where you fight the imp and the Trent, the tree, is home plate, and then you go to first base, second base, and third base, and end there. Because you always go 2 screens diagonal.
Oh, having a little bit of trouble with the
Ox.
and the Cockatrice. Oh, and he almost got stomped. That was close. There's an Easter egg in this game for Saga Frontier 2? Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, if you have the yeah, you have to, like, if you have it on there, you go fight Deathbringer again. It's like Deathbringer 99 or something.
I'll have to go try that at some point.
I remember hearing about it.
Although I'll have to make a Saga Frontier 2 save, I guess. I made it an hour into that game and died. I did not save, so I had nothing to reload.
Alright, so Lemur just finished the last fight, so now he's going on to the Goddess, the last fight, and this fight can be trolly, or like most fights, it can be trolly or it cannot be trolly, so...
Yeah, this fight's a lot about what special attack the Mana Goddess is going to do. It's not possible, to my knowledge, to defeat her without at least having one go off.
Yeah.
But you can win directly after that with a counter if you get good luck. But her hitbox is quite bad. You saw Lemur miss one at the very beginning of the fight.
The typical rule of thumb with your
Oh, is this a good one? Oh my goodness, completely whiffed the launching arc.
the typical rule of thumb is like you kind of place your feet on her feet, and that'll give you a good hitbox for your counter strikes.
And you can see how strong she is because Guri died in pretty much one hit. Oh boy. 2 more. There we go.
There we go, and there's...
GG for me.
Exactly, and then ellervated is probably about a third of the way through the tree itself.
Yeah, he's heading up to the shrine as we speak, it looks like. Just another battle before he gets there.
The eclipse that you see forming on Lemur's side is, if that becomes full, the Mana Goddess doesn't attack. That's pretty much a one hit. Like, you can survive it, but it's an uphill battle from that point.
Yeah, the final combat is on it, so if you do let that eclipse finish, you probably have avoided a lot of STs by that point, or you've been hit and you're at critical condition, and it's pretty dangerous.
There is a point in the credits sequence that involves a sproutling floating in the air. Do a bad map placement. See if I can point it out at some point.
Elevated gets his chance at the moose and the cock just here. Oh, he got licked. Oh no, he got turned to stone. Head up here to fight our 3 dragon combat. Which Wind Slasher does a lot for. These dragons have a lot of life, so hitting them all with a special attack makes the fight way more doable.
Should be coming up on Lemur's side shortly. It's when you see the shrine entrance, you'll see a sproutling kind of just floating off the walkway. Ellervated is coming up to his final fight with the Mana Goddess.
Let's see how it goes. There's your
There's the floating sproutling, yep.
But you know, they're part of the tree, so it makes sense. Yeah, one of the biggest strategies you can do during the fight is to get Guri to help you with that synchro, but Guri's not being helpful this go around. Well, down he goes again.
Good goddess fight.
There we go. GG to Elevated.
Good runs all around for both of our runners.
Definitely some struggle points for each side. Brave Blade was not showing up for Lemur. And Elevated had a really rough aggravator.
Hey, GG.
Hey,
good game, man.
Nice.
Hey, good game.
Race.
That was awesome.
Yeah, really glad I was here. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, that was so great. Thank you, Lemur. GG's, bro. Baron and Mancat commentary was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, great job, guys.
For having us.
Hell
yeah.
yeah.
It was fun to go through it.
How many throat slitters was that?
6.
Oh,
6.
Yeah, a whole bunch.
Too
Oh
many.
my god.
That's 6. Too many for me.
I mean, every combat you had, which was pretty insane.
Yeah, that was the ultimate troll Brave Blade.
Too bad we weren't looking for throat slitters.
That'd be nice if we could do either or, but Brave Blade's just too good.
Totally.
I mean, it's not a question about doing either or. It's just that Throat Slitter is so weak.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks again, everybody. I'm gonna just give a shout out to you guys real quick before we throw some music on and get ready for our next co-op run. But everybody that's in this chat right now has or does run Legend of Mana. So big shout outs to you guys. you can check everybody out. So twitch.tv/Cereberon, that's Cereberon. He actually has world record on the Dragon emulator. Then we got Lemur. His Twitch is hiimlemur, HIIMLEMUR. And then Mancat is Salty Mancat.
I don't really stream that much anymore. Not with
True.
too much life stuff going on.
Oh, right on. So either way, it was really awesome having you guys. Thank you so much, and more
It was a
soon.
pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks
It
for
was
watching,
very-
everyone.
Hell
It was
yeah.
very much a pleasure to commentate on this.
Sweet.
I might not run it, but I will commentate on it.
Yes. Well, then I will always. I'll have you in my list of commentators, dude. That was a great job. Okay, you guys. More later.